Folks, welcome to what should be a very, very interesting video because it asks a very simple question. What does your Warhammer 40,000 army choice say about you? When you pick an army to play as or collect in Warhammer 40k, when something sings to you in the lore, what does it say about you as a personality? Please don't take this too seriously, this is all a bit of fun, but an interesting spin on today's video is that these are not strictly my opinions. We've done that video before. No, these are the opinions of the Northern Exile community. We're going to read them straight. I did a very brief on YouTube the other day when I said, look, if you want to know, if you want to like say what you think certain armies are in terms of personality traits, then let me know in the comment section down below and I will read them out if they're any good. So, how we're going to read these out, I will read the person's screen name, then the army that they're talking about, and then we will read their opinion. Not all of these are strictly my opinion, I must get that out the way now, and this is all in jest and a bit of fun. Although I do think there is a lot of prescience and truth to a lot of these opinions. They do get very spicy, so just bear that in mind. Alright. Alexi Oblik says, Dark Angels. Okay. Let's have a read of this. I love the knightly theme and how, especially in 30k, we were the ones who did jobs so dirty. The Dreadwing was a thing. That it makes the Night Lords and Alpha Legion look lame in comparison. Heck, we had stockpiles of Dark Age tech, including lobotomized Men of Iron, meaning we could have brought about a new old knight if needed. Also, we were one of the legions that Horror simply avoided, since he figured facing us in a direct fashion would have ended super poorly for him. He sent the Night Lords to simply slow us down, and we still nearly got him. Alright, a few of these will be, instead of like judging other people, are going to be why you think you did your army. That's fine. But if you do that though, I'm also going to like stick the boot in. That's not strictly what I asked for. So, in terms of Dark Angels, there is an arrogance to Dark Angels players that I'm going to be honest with you, I've not seen anywhere else. But do you know arrogance when it's like kind of, you really don't like the person because they're arrogant, but they've earned it? Yeah, that's a Dark Angels player. Most Dark Angels players that I know are well into Imperial lore. Like, hugely into it. And they get away with a lot by saying their Legion's the best. Because, let's be honest, guys. If we're being completely honest, all round, Dark Angels are the best Legion. All round. Right? There are 9 in everywhere. You will get Legions that are better at them in close combat. The World Eaters. And charging and World Eaters. In close combat, Space Wolves, they're 10s in those categories, but nobody is a 9 across the board. For me, Dark Angels are, and their players bloody well know it as well. Duskwalker6817 says, Chaos in all its forms. Chaos Marines, Chaos Knight, and Chaos Demons. I think it's fair to say that most people who collect Chaos tend to be a bit edgy. There's lots of metalheads and people with very esoteric interests or beliefs. I've also found fellow Chaos fans to be very welcoming and supportive to newcomers like myself, and generally everybody's been great to talk to. There aren't a lot of us, so it's nice to have a good community. I've also enjoyed the Orc community, as my friend collects them. Every Orc player I've ever interacted with were chill guys who just wanted to have a laugh and relax. I've never seen anybody who collects Orcs get salty or cause trouble. Me either. Me either. 15 years in the hobby, full time, and I've never seen an Orc player throw a wobbler, or get annoyed, or cheat. You know? They just don't care about that kind of thing. They just seem like all-round good guys that want everybody to have a good time. Well, that's the Orcs in general. That's the Orcs in general. The Orcs are the happiest race in 40k, because their culture is warfare, and they're spreading it to everybody. They're spreading the love, and spreading the happiness. I love it. So I agree. Most Orc players are very nice. They do have the combined intelligence of a Neanderthal most of the time, because, you know, they like Orcs, and they like grunting a lot. It just is what it is. It is what it is. And they won't be offended by that, I'm telling you now. They'll be like, yep, fair enough, yep, no problem. Yep, the shoe fits, mate. Yep, no problem. You know, every orc fan I know is like that. Every single one. Like, mate, you're very, very silly. I know. Like, that's an orc player, right? Moving on. Grintendo says, orcs, again. I picked them for a few reasons. Firstly, since the models are individually weaker, even when they win games, my opponent is going to be killing most of your army. I also love the Green Tide playstyle of overwhelming my opponent with models. I also just love the aesthetic and find it fun rolling for 5s and 6s as opposed to 2s, 3s and 4s. Again, thank you for proving my point. What kind of a player likes it when the game doesn't like you? Orcs, the game doesn't like you. You need to roll 5s and 6s to do anything in the game. But you don't care, you're there for fun. Thank you for proving my point, Grintendo. Thank you. Cody Wing. Cody Winning? I don't know. Cody Winning says, Ultramarines. Easy paint scheme, and starting in 3rd edition as a teen was simple. I fell out of the hobby and came back to it in 9th edition as a hobby, so picked up my Blue Marines and my Orcs from the beginning again. No problem. Okay, fine. Alright. World Eaters. Decided to format as a list. Ooh, I like this one. World Eaters. Controversial. This is from Spork2975. Let's get into it, shall we? World Eaters. Number 1. You root for the underdog. For this, I could bring up how they were treated or how they were originally called the Warhounds, literally calling them dogs. However, I think a more overlooked part was their weaponry. The chainswords and chain axes were seen as the standard Astartes weapon and still are. They're easily overlooked in the face of the various power weapons or the imposing Thunderhammer but this means a lot of the time they're really underestimated. The World Eaters basically took their starter weapon and maxed it out. I also think it adds more sentimental value to chaining the weapon to the forearm, since it could be seen as the World Eater finding a kindred spirit in their weapon and not wanting to lose it. Well, part of the World Eater's aesthetic is that if they lose a weapon, they don't pick it up again. It's bad luck. I know, weird. Number 2, you love tragic heroes. Main example, Kharn the Betrayer. Kharn, throughout the Heresy, was probably one of the most well-written characters. I agree. His arc is brilliant. A large factor in this is his constant battle between nobility and savagery. He wanted so desperately to be the good guy and wanted to be a good son that he dismissed his father's behaviour whilst knowing it could very well undo him as well as his entire legion. He felt helpless. There was little he could do to help his father, and he could see the corruption had already seeped into the legion as well as himself. Even now, while less, Kharn still does somewhat still uphold his nobility. He, to my knowledge, is the only berserker who is fully and completely dedicated to the savage aspects of Khorne, whilst also being able to have brinks of sanity and capable feeling compassion towards his allies. In a short story, Kharn went out of his way to honour a fallen brother and avenge him, and he also took down the Imperial ship that attacked Lotaras in the Arks of Omen. This showed that he still respected and valued his friends, despite how far gone they all were. And number 3, you like metal music. I don't even know if I need to explain this one. The armour, the goals, the fighting style, it all fits. Okay, I agree. Completely. Absolutely, completely, I agree. I think that's a very sensible take on the World Eaters. I think Kharn is very much lost, but I think what you're saying is there's something swimming underneath the surface. You know what I mean? There's something like going on underneath the surface where, you know, he's doing these almost on instinct. He's protecting people that, you know, were his guys back in the day. You know? Anyway. Salamanders from Wendell17. Salamanders. You like the grim darkness theme to a point, but at the end of the day, you can't let go of the good guy, bad guy dichotomy and fully embrace what 40k is all about. Thank you! Somebody else has said it. You don't want to be full-on evil and can't understand why anybody would want to play factions like Drukhari or Emperor's Children. Okay. Everybody's choice is completely reasonable. No matter what 40k faction you want to go with, even Space Wolves. If that's your choice, off you go, have fun. Thing is with Salamanders, though, and I've always said this, they kind of fly in the face of what 40k is. Do you know what I mean? They kind of go against what 40k is. Which is why, one Space Marine chapter idea that I've always wanted to run with, I went with the, Space Marine Samurai in the end. But what I always wanted to roll with was having a Salamander successor chapter that is really grimdark. Like, really, really grimdark. I'm talking Iron Skulls grimdark. I'm talking, we don't give a shit about anybody. We get the job done and we get out. To hell with casualties of our allies. We get the job done, we get out. That's what I think would be really, really interesting. And seeing how the Salamanders react to that. Maybe having a chapter of Salamander successors who think Vulcan was just a dweeb. Was just an idiot. That would be really, really funny. And I would like to collect the army, please. Moving on. Okay. Tato Ferre says, Space Wolves. You embrace your inner furry beast like a true alpha. Oh god. Oh no. I don't want to read this. Leading the pack at your local game store. Are your toes curling up listening to this? Because they should be. Other Marine players, indeed, or other players of any faction, step aside in awe as you stride your way in, wielding that beat-up carry case like a bolt gun. Are they intimidated by the stubble that flows from your neck, the stench of battle and blood that precedes you, that stench which no axe of cold Fenrisian steel, or the stuff mom insists you wear, could cleave? It matters not. Your helm bears many epic sagas upon its brim. I'm actually starting to like this guy. This is quite funny. You know, they shall tremble and become nauseous at the sagas you shall sing upon this day. You behold their confusion at your masterful tactics right from deployment. Though the soil of this battlefield is frozen and barren, you sow these seeds without mercy to reap a future bloody toll. Wolflord, Wolfguard, Fenrisian Wolves, Wolf Priest, Thunderwolf, Wolfborn. The mere mention of your heroes makes their eyes glaze over. I love this. This is really well written as a piece of satire. I like it. Then the hunt begins. Quite literally. Alea iacta est. Which you kind of possibly think is Old Norse, or something equally Celtic and epic. As your opponent seizes the initiative from your claws and shoots your army off the board, because this is 10th edition, and no amount of plot armor or wolf pelts can protect you from broken Eldar shenanigans. You let forth a battle cry to rend the heavens and shake the very pillars of Sovngarde. As a man of culture, you know all about these Viking settings, and they're basically the same. Dead heroes are ushered into their final resting place, for now, until they shall arise once more, with more green stuff fur to protect them, or Games Workshop hears your rees and buffs them again. Though this battle did not turn your way, as even your foe is shaking his head in disbelief at the torture that befell you, there is yet hope for the fallen. Rage-filled sagas will still be pounded out on Reddit. Waifus will await with open arms. And that North guy on YouTube will totally salt his precious tea with his tears because wolves are so much better and manly and cooler than his lame astral blades. How about let's not have a proper brew now? And the feast yet awaits. You heard Mum was making tendies. This is what collecting, nay commanding, Space Wolves says about you. Their comment of the day. Comment of the day. Tato Ferre, you don't even have a profile picture, mate. That was brilliant. That was really, really good. I love that. That was fantastic. All right, Stun Jim or Stun JM says Imperial Guard. Lovely, Imperial Guard, chosen by people who are masochists to their bank account who didn't want to paint green skin. All right, Orc players, also masochists to their bank account who didn't want to paint camo and tanks, but might have chosen Guard in the 90s when they were a big selection of Guard units to choose from. Isn't that really shitty? I remember that. Like, late 90s, early noughties Guard were everywhere. You know, they were... You could get 4 or 5 different regiments from your local Games Workshop. Like, they were all there. Such a shame. Sisters of Battle. For anyone who really wants to play the Spanish Inquisition in space with flamethrowers. And they really love painting rosemary beads. That's true. But I also think people who like Sisters of Battle just like seeing women in tight latex clothing as well. I just, you know... I know a lot of dudes who are, like, really nice guys who aren't really into any of the stuff you just said. And when I ask them, why do you do Sisters? He says, take one look at them. Why would you not want to do Sisters? And I go, good point. Good point. Okay. I think a lot of people have, like, misunderstood. One second. I'm going to take a sip of tea. I think some people have misunderstood the brief here. In that, you know, I'm not asking you why you collect your army. I'm asking you why other people collect their armies, you know? What it says about them. Anyway. Imperial Guard. All Imperial Guard players, says Connor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All Imperial Guard players got into the hobby before discovering bolt action exists. I'm guessing you're thinking they probably forget it. They'll probably regret that now as well. And then somebody beneath him says, why'd you call me out like that, bro? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you didn't discover bolt action before you found Imperial Guard. That sucks. I'm really sorry about your wallet there. Okay. Custodes says positive geekery. Custodes to me says, I like winning, not painting. Yeah. And somebody below him says, I see them as being, I like to play the game without going broke. Applicable, unless you see a Forge World model in there. That is also true. You don't need very many models to do a Custodes army. And, yeah, they are well, they were a very, very powerful army, at least at the start of 10th, anyway. Alright. Okie dokie. 40k Space Wolf, says Dan Kirk. To me, just screams either they're into Viking mythology to the point where they try to make it a part of their identity, or they're furries. Fight me. Okay. Mr. Marriott, what does it say about Space Wolves? If you collect Space Wolves, you're a virgin. My days. Oh my days. A lot of you guys really don't like Space Wolves, and that's fine. That's fine. Tok 3POK3 says, Leagues of Votan, you like StarCraft. That is true. That is also true. That is some. I know a few Leagues of Votan players who have been awaiting a faction like this to be in 40k for a while because they're big StarCraft players. I would also say that they're probably really into these space mining games, you know? Anyway. Rabbit Security says, Sisters of Battle players, in my opinion, are pretty level-headed and accepting, but on the other hand, Space Wolves are just twats. I think it's time from their models, including fur and looking badass all the time, they just think their characters are Kratos or something. Space Wolves are getting a real kicking. Stop making me feel sympathy for Space Wolves. Alright? I'm supposed to give them a kicking. You guys are supposed to like them. That's how this works. Alright? I liked how that worked back in the day. Hi W4NE says, Black Templars, racists. Or you like the Crusade in Jerusalem aesthetic. You want to retake the Holy Land, but do it with spaceships, laser guns, and big fuck-off tanks. Alright, I'm going to read some of your replies here. Somebody says both, okay. Somebody else says, Templars at this point are more basic than even the Smurfs. Okay, right, okay. Somebody else says, Chaos, Orcs, multiple flavors of Imperial Guard, Heresy Raven Guard with some Iron Hands and Mechanicus. I also tried Eldar. He's just listing the armies that he does. He's misunderstood the brief. Okay, alright, so. I don't agree. It's the one I don't agree with. Black Templars racists? No. No. I know a hell of a lot of people who do Black Templars. Why? because most of my friends got into the hobby in 3rd edition, and Black Templars were their boys. Because 3rd edition's their edition, right? None of them are racist. They're all nice guys, you know? All nice guys. They all love the knightly aesthetic. They all love the unshifting, undaunting aspect of the Black Templars as being the gatekeepers or the paragons of grim dark in 40k. Do you know what I mean? I agree with what somebody else says as well, in that they're more basic than even the Smurfs, because that's not the Black Templars' fault. That's the fault of the writers boiling everything down to a fucking meme. That's what 40k is. It's meme. You know? Raven Guard, oh, we're so sneaky. You know, that's literally all they do, right? Space Wolves, oh, we're wolf Vikings in space. That's all they do. 40k is a fucking meme, dude. Blood Angels were vampires. We're space vampires. We're vampires in space. You know? All the time they do it. All the time. They boil it down to the most uninteresting... They make the most uninteresting parts of the faction the entire faction. That's just how 40k writing works. Same with Black Templars. But people who play them are not racists. Alright? Let's just get that out the way right now. They're not. And maybe the second one, they like Crusade era conflicts and things like that. Maybe. But racists, no. I completely disagree. Corrupt O Knight says, Leagues of Votan. Second time we've had them today. I think most of the time, it can boil down to personality or playstyle when it comes to armies. Lots of people seem to give off the attitude of the army they play. A couple of examples. Eldar always come off as haughty and elite, but really not a lot to them besides that. Space Marines always seem easy and jack of all trades, but for specific tasks they often fall short, if not for GW's constant updates, that kind of a thing. Okay, yeah, you didn't really mention Leagues of Votan in there, but yeah, I agree. People do kind of go out of their way, you know, to be like their armies. I think it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, though. I think quite a lot of people, they choose an army that they resonate with, right? And then they celebrate the things that that army has about it. And that they then internalize those things and become more like those things. Especially when they're around other people. Right? Around other people in the hobby. You know what I mean? Dylan Hartman says, World Eaters. This guy is the most passive-aggressive, Timmy-loving, Minnesota-dwelling Warhammer player. This guy is going to throw us at a Tau player to get shot off the table for the fun of it. He just wants Kharn to run up the board and eviscerate Farsight if he doesn't get shot off the board in a single round of combat. This guy probably deals with customers/homeowners on a regular basis with a fake smile and then wants to rage out and get in character at the table, charging everything with reckless abandon. And finally, this guy probably plays a barbarian in D&D because it's the same playstyle and allows his ABCs always be charging. That I agree with. It is weird how many retail people are World Eaters players. I'm really glad you brought that up. I've never thought about that before. It is kind of weird. Very strange. How a whole load of World Eaters players out there work in customer-facing environments. Whether it's like at a bar, at a restaurant, you know, in a Games Workshop even, you know, retail, that kind of thing. Or work in environments that are very high stress. They tend to be orcs or World Eaters. Why? Because I honestly think a lot of people's armies revolve around how much mental gymnastics and bandwidth you want to spend on the hobby. If you're an orc player, even if you lose a battle, you won because you were in a battle, right? World Eaters, the same thing. Even if you lose, you won because you were in a battle. And Khorne will probably just resurrect you anyway if you fought well enough. Anyway, Ken Upton says, Imperial Fists, but I'm confused. Am I talking about myself and my army, or am I talking about other players and their armies? Well, I think it was a bit, it was obvious what I wanted, but, you know, we can, this doesn't matter. Okay. I will go with other armies and their types. Good. Oh, he's done loads. Well done, Ken Upton. Right, well done, man. Or Ken Upton. Ken Upton? Yeah, Ken Upton. Alright. He says, Eldar, the guy who thinks elves, vampires, and relationship-based anime are the greatest thing ever. Alright, cool. Dark Eldar. They see Eldar, but are also goth kids. So, Eldar, the guy who thinks elves, vampires, and relationship-based anime are the greatest things ever. Dark Eldar, see Eldar, but also goth kids. Space clowns, as in, you know what I mean. Solitaire. No, not solitaires. What are they called? You call them space clowns, but they're not called that. Harlequins. Clowns that either played in second or are those types of people that just really probably shouldn't play 40k. Yes! Yes! Right. Yes. And I think that's a compliment. That's a compliment. He's not having a go at you there. Harlequins plays, he's not having a go. That's a compliment. He's saying you shouldn't be playing this game. Your art skills are too good. You should go paint a painting and become an artist and actually make money from what you do. Because if you can paint Harlequins and all of their different patterns really well, you should be making money from painting 40k. You probably shouldn't be playing it as much as you are, right? Cool. And yes, in second edition, yeah, insane. Harlequins, insane. Anyway, Marines, the best players. Their spending habits keep Games Workshop afloat. Ooh, alright, yeah. Okay, no, I'm with you. I get that. I think Marines players get a lot of hate, but be honest with you, would we have an actual hobby if there weren't any Marines players? I don't think we would. Should Games Workshop give Xenos players more love? Yes, they should. Should they give everybody else more love apart from Space Marines? Yes, they should. Absolutely, categorically, yes, they should. But, would we even have this wonderful hobby without them? I would say it would definitely not look like what it looks like now, right? In terms of the quality of the models and things like that. Anyway, Custodes. Oh, you've been touched by Custodes, man. Custodes. Trash tier players. So cheap they go for the least investment and they still use 3D prints. They're the ultimate in penny pinching. Oh. Okay, Grey Knights. Oh, I'm going to be triggered here, aren't I? Just play Marines with a lot of psychers. Grey Knights should never have been an army. They were better in early third as a single special 500-point unit. No, I like Grey Knights. Sorry, like they look too good to not be a thing. As long as I can still have the models and still have like demon killing Space Marines, you know, I'm okay with what you said there. Maybe the actual Grey Knights should be a one-off 500-point unit. That's amazing. Okay, fine. I'll go along with that. But I still want my demon-killing Space Marine faction. Alright? You give me that are really esoteric and powerful. Give me that. And I'll cede your point there. Anything else? No, you're wrong. Orcs. The best players. The more the merrier. Grade A pro level of awesomeness. Except when they scream wah in the store, that shit is cringe as fuck. I agree. And it happens all the time. Like, whatever situation I go into, anything like that, where there's an orc player around, you can almost always time it. You know what I mean? You know, any minute now. Any minute. Whoa! There you go. Thanks, Tim. Cheers, mate. Yeah. Right on time. You know. Imagine bringing in your girlfriend who doesn't know what Warhammer is. You bring her into the store. Say, baby, you want to see me roll some dice? Come on in. You're going to love this. You know what I mean? Like, oh my god. Like, I roll dice like a pro. Watch this. Whoa! She just walks out. And goes to the nearest bar and says, are there any normal men in here, please? Okay, take me home. Right? Anyway. Tau. Lazy assholes that should just stick to Gundam kits. If you don't want to use all the phases of the game, play something else. Oh, this guy's salty. Okay. Tau. Lazy assholes that should just stick to Gundam kits. If you don't want to use all the phases of the game, play something else. Wow. Necrons. Lazy painters, but fun players. Okay, alright, yeah. I think a lot of people are drinking their tea or getting on with their day, nodding along, going, alright, okay, fine. Yeah. Sisters. I know every Necron player will be nodding at that going, yeah, fair enough, fair cop. Sisters of Battle. I feel sorry for you. You chose the most beautiful army to sell in 3 months to get back a third of what you spent on it. Gene Stealer cults. The most cultured of players. That's all you said about them? You said, oh, come on. Come on. Is your missus a Gene Stealer cult player? I bet she is. Tyranids. For all the StarCraft players that can't make it out of wood rank. Admech. You should just play Imperial Guard. You'll never paint those things. I beg to differ. Most of the people I know who play Admech, they play. And they paint. And paint very well, by the way. Chaos. Good on those guys for sticking with them, even when they've sucked since the loss of 3.5, the greatest of editions ever. Anyone who thinks otherwise is either stupid or under the age of 25. Knights. Imperial Knights. Get the fuck out. Nobody wants you here. Nobody wants to fight against an army of 2 repeating models. I guess 3 if you wasted money on a shitty oversized flamer. If I forgot anything, they weren't worth remembering. Oh my god. Suffer not the unclean to live. You said I could be as controversial as I want. This is exactly what I was hoping for. So Canupton, well done. Another quote of the day there. Well done. And thank you everybody for writing in. Yeah, fantastic. I love it. And I love the hobby as it is. I may do another one of these videos where the brief can be, you know, I mean, the brief was, what do certain Warhammer 40,000 armies say about the people who collect them, in your opinion? I don't know what's hard to understand about that. Like, but a lot of you seem to have gotten the wrong idea there, and you're giving me your reasons for collecting your army. That's not what I was asking for. I was asking for your opinions on other people who play other armies and what it says about them, right? So next time we do this, watch this video first if you have done already, and you'll know exactly what I mean, right? Okay. If I didn't read yours out, I probably just missed it, or you didn't follow the brief. One of the two. I'm sorry if I missed it. If you didn't follow the brief, read better. Alright, if you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below. Please follow along the channel. We are heading towards 16,000 subscribers. We are 200, 300 away. Guys, come on. I know most of you aren't subscribed. 50% of you are subscribed. Please come and help out the channel. We're getting there towards the end of the year. We're getting to a bonus of 16,000 subscribers. It's going to be awesome. Let's get into it. Love you a long time. Speak to you soon. Have a good one. Bye now.